Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get into the live stream today. You guys go ahead and give me an audio check, and then I'll get right into it. Probably go for about 45 minutes or so today. Got a couple things to do for a kid's birthday party. And we're going to be looking for trade ideas. So if anybody is basically new to the live stream, then this is basically you're going to give me your stock picks. We'll go through. We'll try to find trade ideas for the next week. I'll give you my broad market analysis and opinion on the market, and when we'll go ahead and wrap up. So just give me that audio check. Let me know everything sounds good, and then we'll get into it. Okay. So here, obviously there's been a pretty strong bid in tech stocks specifically over the last, really all year, I guess, in tech stocks. But obviously we didn't know that there was going to be this strong of a bid until it happens, But I am starting to see the rest of the market starting to catch up on some of that bid. So, and that really started to show itself last week. We started to see the rest of the market getting bid up and starting to rally. So there's something there potentially. I definitely don't want to, it's only a few days, but I definitely don't want to be distracted by my previous bearish call in triple Qs to think that maybe the rest of the market can't rally. Someone's been asking me in the comments whether I've turned bullish or if I'm no longer bearish, I guess. At this point, at least for the last week, and really since I stopped out on those tech shorts a couple weeks ago, I'm kind of neutral at this point. I wouldn't say that I'm, do I still think we're in a bear market? I do think we're still in a bear market, but not to the point where I'm ready to take bets again on that. So I have not been shorting tech stocks, basically. So we'll look at that, and then we'll look for opportunities where they might lie. So let's go into triple Qs. There's something I wanted to, I was kind of looking around the chart. I see on the weekly chart there's a potential for a trend line right here. It's not established yet, so nothing that I can really say is a valid trend line, but you can see we've got a week there and then up here, and then we're pretty much right there at a potential another reaction point. We need to see a reaction though to validate this as a trend line. If this holds, then we would have a continued downtrend, just a larger downtrend basically. This first leg lower of 2022 really was about like that, and that was kind of the downtrend that was violated and broken, and now we've created this. We could start to create a larger downtrend, something that's going to play out over many years if we're going to remain in a bear market. If we're going to remain in a bear market, we're going to be in it for many years, especially at this point with the chart, with the fact that we've kind of taken this out here. It's already been, half the year or so on this rally here. So if we're going to have another leg lower, we're talking about multiple year bear market. So nothing's guaranteeing that. Again, I'm not taking bets on this right here. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. We'll see how that plays out. Going back to the daily here, you can see there it is. So zooming in, it's just not really established yet. So that's it. Until then, we still had this. This is a bearish rising wedge, guys. This pattern that was here that I was really playing off of and thinking was going to resolve to the downside, that's still there. Now, it did not resolve to the downside. It's still a valid pattern. You can see, look, they broke it out, came back in for the back test. They held that, and then just parabolic move straight up. Okay, I'm not going to chase that move. Again, my position was back here was to the downside. We got stopped out. I'm not going to just flip and chase. All right, that's a rookie move. All right, if I'm going to flip bullish on the charts, I want to buy at support. So what I need is pullbacks to support. And I would, that's a prudent way of trading and investing, essentially, is to buy at support, not just give in to your emotions and chase the mania higher. Yes, this can go higher. Yes, it can continue this parabolic move that it's been doing. I can't just jump on board and chase. All right, that's a momentum play. And it's kind of a game of hot potato. I want to be positioned in a move where the risk is the lowest, basically. No guarantees you're not going to lose money, but I want risk to be low. You need to always keep your risk low. And to do that, you need to be positioned. If you're long and you want to be bullish and you see things in the chart that tell you to be bullish, then you want to buy at support. And if you're bearish or you see things that tell you to short, you want to short at resistance. Just fundamental trading right there. And so right now we're not at support, all right, on triple Qs. We're basically just rallying. If anything, you know, you could maybe buy this trend line here. Support, 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 support. Okay, so pullbacks to that trend line would be objective with a stop slightly below. Or, you know, if you're bearish, then you could short a break of that support, you know. As of right now, you know, my divergences, these are usually what I'm going to use to tell me which way the likely direction is going to be. There is still negative divergence on the daily. It's not confirmed at this point. I mean, we had negative divergence, but we broke into the upside. You can see we're just kind of going up right here. If this turns down, the PPO turns down soon, that will help confirm that this divergence is still intact. Okay, but at that point, I'm not going to just short, all right? I'm not going to short if I just see divergence. I need to see a break of support or, you know, a move into resistance. I want to short resistance or I want to short a break of support. And if you're bullish, you want to buy support or you want to buy a break of resistance. Okay, so that's just kind of where my thoughts are at right now. Neutral, guys, on the market. I need to, you know, see some more. The charts need to kind of shape up. You've got a former high here on triple Qs. It looks like it's right about, yeah, there's some reactions, a couple reactions right through here. My lines, I don't know what's been going on with my charts, but recently my lines have been just not, they've been disappearing, so I'm having to redraw them. But there's some resistance here, resistance. Hey, Kyle, appreciate that super chat. I will get to you next after I get through this broad analysis. And so, you know, we could be heading up there, all right? Again, I don't have enough to go off of right where we're at the close of the week to say we're at resistance or anything like that. I mean, I need to see a little bit more in the chart. If we run up here, that's resistance. There's enough reactions there to kind of validate at minimum a pullback. And potentially a pullback all the way to this support line here that is intact as of right now. Okay, so that is the triple Qs. Let's look at Nvidia real quick, and then I will get into some of these individual stock picks. Okay, Nvidia here. Obviously, Nvidia gapped up on earnings. It's been kind of a mania, but really it hasn't gone anywhere after earnings. Usually when you see some sort of break, you know, gap up like that, that's usually the move, okay? You know, you're usually not going to get much more of the move after that gap up. And the entire Nvidia mania took place really just in a matter of minutes after the earnings report. The algos bought it up, and it's been trading up in that level since. So there's not a lot of opportunity unless you were long Nvidia ahead of earnings, that's a high risk play. It worked out in your favor, but equally could have worked out against you as well. But okay, so I don't think there's opportunity there really, at least at this moment. Nvidia's at all-time highs, and there's nothing to trade off of. You know, there's no levels to really trade off of. When you're at all-time highs, you can start to look for divergences and patterns on the shorter time frame to look for, you know, pullbacks and stuff. But as of right now, you know, maybe we're setting something. There's just not enough to go off of. You know, you got 1, 2 data points. Can't validate that as a trend line. You obviously have the reaction, the gap up move right there. So I think that we mark that out. But that's all I have. Yeah. That's it. So a break back into that gap, you're probably going to gap fill. But until that happens, there's just not much there. Okay, I'm going to get into your guys' stock picks now. Not go too far into the broad market analysis. I just kind of gave you guys my my picks. Yeah, options. I don't do options. I know you obviously can sell premium and all that. That's a whole other game. I'm not really the one to teach that stuff. So if you're interested in options, you probably have to find that information somewhere else. Not my deal. And I don't want to, steer you guys wrong if I don't know, if I don't do it myself. Options are tricky because you have the time decay element of options. It's hard enough, as you can see, getting the trade right, let alone the timing. So, okay. All right, Kyle, I'll start off with yours. LDOS. All right, let me look at that one. I have no idea what this is, so. Okay. This is a aerospace and defense. Okay. Obviously, they just passed the debt ceiling, so that maybe is what this play is about with the Pentagon getting more money and stuff like that. So there's a downtrend line. That's pretty clean. I like that downtrend line there. Yeah, I think that's probably a valid downtrend line here as well. I mean, look, here's the thing. You have one reaction, you have a cluster. At that point, I don't know if I could say that was still a valid downtrend line, but then as I come in and look here, look, you've got some more reactions right there, and you have this little stop rate move right there. Undercut, really just a one-day undercut, running stops, clearing longs out basically. Very next day recovered, and we're back above, testing it again. I like that as a downtrend line. And look, as they zoom in, you tested it here on Thursday, and then Friday, boom, big move up. I like it. I think it's a long, at least from the levels, the support lines. Let me see if we have any divergences. On the daily, there's a little on the RSI right in here with that stop rate. Okay, you do have some divergence. That's a divergent low on the RSI. Not really on the PPO. Go down to the hourly. And obviously you have, this must have been earnings. Yeah, big move down on earnings. You have usually when you see a big move down on earnings like that, usually on the hourly you do start to build bullish divergence. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to rally right away, but that's bullish divergence on the hourly. And if I had to guess, I would want to be positioned long. I would not want to short this one. And I would think that you're going to get a move to this wedge, all right, this resistance line. Right here and now, it's not the best. It's not objective because it's already rallied off that support line. On Thursday, it was objective. I didn't see it. So if you bought it there, I think that's a good play. And I think you could rally up to this trend line. From there, who knows? That would be the trade. And then a breakout, obviously, is another buy signal. Unless you have negative divergence, then it's likely going to be a false breakout. But if there's no divergence, then a breakout would be the buy signal and up to the 200, and then you probably continue to trend higher. Yeah, that's what I have on that one. Hopefully that's insightful. Okay. Let's go to the top, and we'll just start working our way down. AEHR. I saw that one. I'm not in that one, but that one had a big move on... I don't even think it was earnings. I think it was just this mania. This is a semiconductor, I think. Electronic. Someone told me this was a semiconductor. So the semiconductors right now, kind of a no-touch. You never want to short a mania, all right? Now, we were shorting triple Qs. There wasn't necessarily a mania there, but the Nvidia thing has sparked a mania in the semiconductors. And so... that was one clue for me to cover semiconductor shorts. When I started to see stuff like that, I just got out, and I've avoided a lot of losses in the semiconductors by just covering those shorts. Obviously, I did lose money on some of those, but the again, I'm not here to tell you we're never going to lose money, guys. It's impossible. We just, we manage our risk. When we know we're wrong, we get out at the moment we know we're wrong. We don't always know you're wrong until things kind of shape up, and then you get out. We live to fight another day. we'll find some winning trades. AEHR, this one breaking to new highs. What do you go off of here? I mean, it is a divergent high for sure. This is it's not confirmed yet. I suspect it'll be confirmed. I suspect this will turn down, but look at the RSI. The RSI is making new highs there, so I don't think there's anything to be involved here. If you're long, you could just probably stay long, I guess. Wait for a sell signal, but this is a mania, so who knows? Could spike up, could break down at any time. You never know. For me, I'm not going to mess with it. And rare. What is rare? Pharmaceuticals, I assume. The pharmaceuticals can be tricky because they're usually news-based. So this is the major downtrend line I'd probably go off of. I've got enough reactions. 1, 2, 3. That's a breakout, I would say. That's definitely a breakout. It's not, and you've got some bullish momentum. Like, you don't have negative divergence. It's kind of a new high right there in momentum. Well, let me double check. Yeah, never mind. It's actually an equal high. So the breakout actually is a divergent high. Okay, so there's an equal high in the PPO. RSI. All right, so this breakout actually is occurring with negative divergence. Okay, so that is never my favorite to see. Definitely looks like a convincing breakout, but with that negative divergence, I'd put decent odds that this is going to at least back test. If you go to the hourly, let me tighten this one up. That's pretty decent. Right there. Right about there. Still holding that trend line support. So watch that trend line. You break this trend line again, you're probably going to come in for a back test of that major trend line. Something like that. Okay. From there, you'll have to watch it. I mean, if you're bullish, I'd want to buy support, all right? But the divergences would probably keep me off that and probably look for a different opportunity. All right. Eric, E-R-I-C. Let's see here. Ericsson. Okay, so this is a telecommunications, long forgotten, basically. This is a company of the 20 years ago, basically. I can't make a trend line here. Not a long-term trend line. I don't know. Kind of muddy. I'll move on. No opinion on that one. All right, let's see here, guys. Just scrolling through here. IWM. I kind of covered the IWM on Friday. That's a breakout. So I could see a continued move up to that 187. Yeah. I mean, that's probably be my opinion on that one. You have bullish divergence on the daily chart. Boom. So I definitely don't. Oh, not a fib number. I don't want to short it. I'd rather be long and take that breakout up to there and potentially even more. I mean, this trend line's not a well established. It's an okay trend line. All right, XOM. This is our oil. I suspect inflation's going to continue to run, guys. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the gas prices I don't know how it's been where you guys live at, but gas has gone up, 50, 70 cents in the recent couple weeks, and that's a huge factor on inflation. I don't know. I mean, this is the uptrend line. Oil might kind of chop around for a little while and maybe even continue to pull back a little bit. That's a divergent high right there. That recent high right there. See, you made a high, you made a new high. It was on, let me just make sure I'm correct on that. The momentum actually was not, this is your divergent high right here. You did get the pullback right there after that divergent high. This high, not so much divergence actually. So I don't know. Oil could just chop sideways. I don't really see a direction here on oil. I haven't been covering oil recently either too much. XRT, that's our retail, right? Is that our retail? Oh no, that was, yeah, retail. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're bullish, this is probably this is definitely a beaten up sector. But this is the downtrend line that I have right now, and I have a potential bullish falling wedge with bullish divergence. All right, so no buy signal. You need to see a break of a trend line for the buy signal, and then that would probably send us up, potentially start an uptrend line. But again, no buy signal. I'll kind of tighten it up, maybe digging into some of these individual stocks that make up this sector. There might be some opportunity. I do not, I don't have a buy signal on these ones right now, or at least on this sector. Lulu, that one gapped up on earnings, so it's just a earnings play. Again, the one thing about Lulu is look where you closed right ahead of earnings. You were selling off and you closed pretty much at the 200 day. They're going to buy that up. And the earnings came out and they do say whatever it is, but technically you were right at support, right into earnings. So, I mean, you don't, if you were short, you'd close your short. It would make sense to close your short right ahead of earnings, right at the 200 day. I mean, it's just like pretty common sense. And then boom, and yeah, it can go either way. Obviously it went up, but why take the risk if you were shorting? You made the money, so take the money. At this point, I don't know if there's anything there, guys. You've got some resistance right here. Oh, these tools. I wish I had an easier way to flip between tools. Right there. See, there's your resistance. Resistance, resistance. They gapped it up right to resistance and then sold it down. So there's no trade here right now. I don't see a trade here. A breakout of resistance would be bullish. Until then, you're kind of range bound really within this big range. All right, CF. Agricultural. Okay, so this is like the inflation trade. I think that inflation trade might be starting to come back. One thing you would want to do. This is a chemicals agricultural, so maybe they make pesticides or fertilizer or something. I don't know, but it's clearly an ag play, and so what you'd want to do is definitely watch those ag commodities. You see strength in the ag commodities. You should see strength in this one. There's a downtrend line. There's a downtrend channel. And you're starting to show bullish divergence. It's really getting extended. Look at that. Boom, boom. So you have bullish divergence, just barely, but it is there. It's been building. And then here's the PPO. Same kind of look. So bullish divergence is building. All right, no buy signal. You're in a downward channel. So break of resist. The way you do it is Either break, if you want to go long, you wait for a break of resistance, or you can buy at support. All right, so buying it, you wouldn't buy here because there was no real channel and there was no real divergence. All right, and you wouldn't really buy here. And here, okay, you kind of started to have the channel and started to show divergence, so maybe you would buy there. There is actually objective because you have a clearly defined trend line of support and you have bullish divergence. So that's a objective area to buy. Okay, so at this point, tags of support would be objective, or breaks of resistance would be objective to go long. I'd look for a long trade on this one, but I would only buy at those objective points. All right, and you're kind of in the middle right there. So it's interesting. I'm gonna add it to my long list, and then also again watch those ag commodities. Let me flip over to those real quick. I mean, I know the wheat trade's been kind of painful, but technically there's no reason to get out of it. All right, it's the same as the short trade, which obviously didn't work out, but the short trade in triple Qs, we stuck in that one for a while. There was no technical reason to get out of it when you had negative divergence and a bearish rising wedge. All right, the trolls on YouTube that whenever I get a trade wrong, and they're pretty much perma bulls, they're completely quiet when the market goes down. That's because they're just embedded in long positions. So when they get a lot, when the market's rallying, they come out. When the market goes down, you don't even know they're there because they just are quiet. That's gonna remain that way. On this one, the wheat trade, I had that as a trend line, but basically this is the established wedge that I have now. So yeah, we need the breakout of the wedge, and then we'll see. We still have big bullish divergence, so I think it's going to work out. I mean, I think we're going to start to trend higher. Need that breakout. I think I got in a little too early, but technically I think it's still a sound trade. And then I'm watching corn too, because that's kind of a they're kind of counterparts. Corn and wheat, soybeans, those are the grains. You got a downtrend here. This one, I don't like that one. We'll go right here. Something like that. It's not as clean really of a trend line. I don't know. Corn's not as clean. I'll have to do some homework on it. Okay, let me see where we're at. 3M. See, again, this was that's a big move, huh? 8.75%. I don't know what kind of headline came out, but in general, Friday, people were buying those, they were buying everything else except, besides tech. So saw some rotation for sure. That's a bear trap right there. Support, break. And look, when you broke, you just were kind of holding. Impulsive break only to be impulsively recovered. That's a bear trap. And that breakdown, guys, was a breakdown that occurred with divergence on the PPO and pretty much on the RSI. I mean, you kind of made an equal low right there. All right. It's close enough to call it an equal low. So that was a divergent low breakdown. If you have a breakdown that happens when there's divergence, there's a higher probability that breakdown's going to be a false breakdown, and that's exactly what that is. Big impulsive snapback as shorts are covering and longs are piling in. So I would look for more upside on this one. I probably want to be buying support. I don't have clean resistance. Maybe I do. Let me see here. Yeah, not really. I would say right there. That's the trend line. That's the best I can do, basically. Hold on. I got to tighten that up just a little bit. I would say that's the best trend line we can do. We got resistance, resistance, resistance. At this point, I would say we're probably going to go up to that wedge in the 200 and stuff like that. So on this, I'd get down to the hourly. See, that's really impulsive, so I can't necessarily... I don't want to buy it here, but I'd look to buy pullbacks, you know, maybe to this trend line right here, if you can get that. I don't know if you will, but there's some resistance right here. See that? Well, there's some resistance, and there's a reaction. There's, you know, so that's your next reaction level. All right. You're probably 107.30-ish. Okay. You probably get a pullback there. And then again, I still think you could head up to that trend line. All right. That's that one. Not bad. Okay. Let me see. How much time have I been going for? A few more minutes, guys. SHW for the long. Is that Sherwin-Williams? Which one's that one? Yeah. Maybe. No divergences. I mean, you have bullish momentum and bullish price action recently. That looks like a breakout. So there's resistance. So that's a breakout. It is a breakout that's occurring with negative divergence, but it's not confirmed. You know, that's the thing. It's not a clean negative divergence. It's not confirmed. See, the PPO is a lower low, but the breakout's just getting started and you don't have it confirmed. So that is one thing to take note of. And you never really had negative divergence before that. So you had downward momentum there, but you also had downward price action. So there's no real divergence that's intact on this breakout. That's a breakout. He's right. Someone said this is a long. I would agree on that one. The breakout actually came on Thursday. See that close? That's actually the objective area. Now it's up another 2.5%. So not as objective for sure. But I would look to buy pullbacks to support. At this point, where is support? Well, look, you have a gap. So I'd probably buy that. And I'd buy, so I'd buy that one, gap fill, and then anything that down there at the trend line would be a buy as well. So those are my two. That would be my two areas to go long, and I do like this trade actually. On this one, trying to, you know, these reactions highs will probably be some resistance here. That one looks pretty clean because you've got reaction, reaction, reaction. You gapped up, big gap up right to that level. Kind of held it there. Reaction, reaction. That's a big level. That would be a target. Profit target, 266.26. All right. Or when I say don't throw out the change, you always want to step in early. You know, so if you're going to rally in your long, I'd close my long as you approach that. But I like that as a long trade. Buying pullbacks to support, and that's another 10% or so, 9.5% upside. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to add that one and look for opportunities maybe to get into it on the long side. Okay, nice setup on that one. We need pullbacks at this point. Do I want to buy it? You could buy it here, but you probably, you know, they'll probably get you underwater at some point. Buying at support would be the most objective. All right, I'm going to do two more, guys, and then I'm going to wrap up. Magic, appreciate that. A Magic Production, appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate that. ENPH and CAT. So ENPH, is that the energy company? What kind of energy? Semiconductor. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, if semiconductors are in a mania, this one doesn't seem to necessarily be participating. It's starting to look like it's bottoming. All right, so this trend line that I have right here, I think is still valid, and it does look like we're running up to it. So that should be resistance. I mean, at this point, that's really the only trend line I got. Okay, so here's a good support level down here at about 115-ish, 50, somewhere right in there. And resistance right now looks to be this trend line right up in here. All right. And so what I would say is, watch that level. All right. You pull there. Okay. And then a break above that level. Okay. Evaluate that. If you break above and it looks you're barely breaking above with divergence, it's probably going to get sold into. Otherwise, this whole thing could be a false breakdown, and you could recover and then off to the races. You have a big gap to fill right here. Okay, so 226.50-ish, looks like some resistance. It's right in the middle, so of kind of two ranges. So I don't know in the short term, what this is going to do. I mean, there's obviously momentum behind these semiconductors, so I would probably lean that you're going to get at least a move up to that resistance line, potentially the gap fill, but I don't know what, I don't see anything telling me to short this or to go long. All right. It's kind of right in the middle. So those are the levels I'd watch. And then CAT, did CAT break down? No, they recovered it. Okay. So CAT, big recovery. Look, 8.5%. So again, Friday, the market said, okay, let's buy this. Let's buy all the other things besides tech, which is definitely a bullish to see that. CAT had a level, it was building bullish divergence. You'll see here as it was drifting lower like this, see the momentum building, divergent lows, and then boom, above the 200. I mean, there's nothing to short this against. If you were short, you got to cover. I just don't see anything. This trend line here is not a valid trend line because I only have 2 data points. So it's a potential trend line, but it's nothing I would say. I wouldn't short right there. I can't base any trade off of that. There does look like some resistance right about in here. Yeah, there's no short on this trade. So if there's no short, there's not necessarily a long, but there is, that is some bullish price action. Looks exactly like the IWM. Probably some more upside here. I don't know about, you could get a pull after an 8.5% move in one day. You're probably going to flag out, but, and maybe drift lower down to the 200, but yeah, and then they're probably going to buy it up. Okay, I'm going to do one more, guys. And then I will go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm just going to scan around, see if there's anything that I've noticed to be interesting. Joe, Joe's kind of chopping around sideways. I don't think Joe's at support, is it? It's just kind of, well, I mean, there's the 200, so yeah, actually, See, again, my trend lines have all gotten... So there's support. You did have a little false breakdown, and it bounced and recovered and closed at support. I'd say you're at support right there, which is the 200. Actually, it's kind of interesting. It's objective to go long right there. So... Palantir PLTR. PLTR. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, this isn't something I'd want to go long. If you're long, I mean, obviously it's just ripping to the upside. This is just part of that mania tech stuff. There's a trend line to watch on the daily chart. No divergences. Nothing to clue me in that this is going to break. But if you see it break, you're going to, you'll probably get some pullbacks to some support. There's some support right here. So if you break that trend line, I think you could come down to there. And then the buyers would probably be waiting right there. Again, this had bullish divergence right down in here. The objective area to buy this one was actually right longer term, for a swing trade was really right about there. That's pretty objective. And if you bought that, you pretty much didn't go underwater. I mean, you rallied up, came down, gapped up and off to the races. It's not objective to go long on this one. Now, you're actually running into, let's see, there's a reaction high right here. Oh, let me grab the right tool. Right there is some resistance. You're at resistance, but there's no divergences on the daily, maybe on the hourly. Yeah, there's some on the hourly. All right, so what I would watch for on this one, you had the divergences on the hourly. A break of that trend line, again, probably get you a pullback down to, 1030. And that's the trade. I mean, I wouldn't think there's, much more. I mean, you get a breakdown that's a potential, it's 27% just down to that major support. But this is a runner, so you want to taper down your position size on these ones that can really run. You don't need as large of a position. And then, a break of that trend line, a pullback to support. Longer term, I mean, there's nothing bearish in the bigger daily chart. So the only trade I'd be willing to do is about there. And then, maybe even flip long. That looks like support. Okay, one more, guys. And then we'll go ahead and get into it. Let's see here. KRE. KRE is your regional banks. So, yeah, that would be a potential. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Again, they were buying. Friday was kind of buying everything else market, and the KRE bullish divergence. Yeah, this one is definitely more of a long than a short. This is not a short. There's not a short trade here. On this one, you have bullish divergence on the daily chart on the momentum. So this price action down in here was a divergent low. Potential trend line up here in target. Let me kind of narrow in where we see. I mark that out as resistance, which is about 42-ish, and that's pretty much where we closed. So if I had to bet, I think there's probably some more upside. I think they're going to buy this up to 48 at a minimum. That'd be kind of a minimum target. 13 or so % upside on that one. And then you've got big resistance right up here at 56.50. All right, resistance. Big old breakdown candle just helps validate the trend line, and you gapped right to it and break down. that's a potential. Again, these remain my targets. The downtrend line about 40. You know, whenever you hit that, I don't know when you hit that, and then up there. All right. So that would be yeah. These are more of a long. I'm gonna add this to my long watch list, and we'll watch this. This is the kind of long I want to be in. All right, I don't want to chase triple Qs and tech when it's just kind of gone parabolic. I want to buy the things that actually have good setups now. This is a good setup. I mean, it's a bullish divergence on the daily. You don't want to buy a divergent low. You don't just buy a divergent low. You buy breaks of resistance. And, you know, we could even say, let me mark this out because on the daily chart, I've got a couple reactions right there on the daily. I've got right there's a reaction and there's a reaction. And you could even say that was a breakout. I like this as a long. Okay, I might jump into that one, and again, my targets would be here. So again, if I'm long, I'm gonna probably close my long there. If there's a pullback, maybe I buy it back at support, and then if you break out, okay, you could buy that for a move up to there. I want to make pivots around resistance levels, and there's one resistance, and there's the other. Okay, guys. That's all I have for today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Hopefully you find some value in the content. Leave me a thumbs up on your way out the door and have a good weekend. All right. Take care. Bye.